Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another exclusive session in the CH Tribe's Career Accelerator Sunday series. I'm Rijita from Clever Harvey. I'll be hosting today's session on how to write a top college application essay with our special guest speaker, Trina Chaudhuri from the Red Pen. The essay carries a huge amount of weight as part of the college application. While you or your team may have given it a lot of thought and they may even have great ideas for the essay, often it can be really hard to figure out where to start. Trina has assisted thousands of students with their college essays and statements of purpose. Her students have been admitted to colleges like NYU Stern, Stanford, UPenn, Tufts, and UC Berkeley. Recently, two of her students even received the prestigious Presidential Scholarship at the University of Richmond and the President's Gold Scholarship at Wilfrid Laurier University. Welcome, Trina. We're so excited to have you here.
Thank you, Rajita. Thank you for the introduction. Good morning, everyone. And thank you for joining me on a Sunday morning. Yeah, so today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about, like Rajita mentioned, college application essays and how to write your top college application essays. But before I discuss this, I want to quickly sort of tell you a little about the Red Pen and what we do. So we are an educational consultancy based in Mumbai. We've been operating for the past 11 years. And we've been sending students to their, dream colleges successfully. And not only to the US, we've also been sending students to colleges in several other countries and allowing them to sort of pursue any major that they want to. We have 6 different service lines. We have a pre-college advising line, which essentially helps students build profile before the college application process starts. We have boarding and day school. We have undergraduate, which is where my expertise lies. We have MBA, postgraduate, and we also provide institutional support, which means that we are counselors at several schools. And so today, roughly, these are the topics that we're going to discuss. We're going to discuss college essays and the basics of what a college essay is. We're going to look at different essays from different countries. We're going to go in depth into the US college essay process. And we're going to also talk about the Indian liberal arts colleges. I'm going to end this presentation with some tips and tricks from my end. So as you know, essays are a critical component of your application. It's not the entire application, but a part of it. So your application and the other parts of the application consists of resume, your personal data, your test scores, your extracurricular activity list, your LORs. And in some countries, the sort of importance given to these parts may vary based on the country that you're applying to. But essentially, you will have to strike a balance among all of these. Not one is more important than the other. So if you are spending, several years building a profile for the major that you're applying to, you also need to sort of be or have a good rapport with the teacher who's going to write your LOR. And similarly, you also have to spend enough time writing your college application essay. Now, essays are what we call serve as the voice of your application, right? Beyond the essays, everything that is there, everything else is data, everything else is number, whether it's your test scores, whether it's your grades, whether it's the activities list. The essay is actually the place where you can tell the admissions officers, who I'm going to refer to as AOs in future. This is where you can tell the admissions officers who you are, what your personality is like, how you think, how you solve problems, and who is that human being behind all of those test scores and grades. Now, bear in mind that if you have a weak resume, if you've not done or if you've not shown depth in an extracurricular activity, or if you've not done enough to build your profile, a great essay is not going to sort of make up for that, right? You might have a very good essay, but if you have not done enough beyond your classroom to sort of pursue a certain interest, then a great essay is not going to make any difference. But if you have a great profile, if you've done a lot, if you've shown depth in every other area of your application, but if you have a weak essay, it might affect your application in some way or the other. Now, essay is also a platform or an opportunity that the student can use to connect the dots. Now, what I mean by connecting dots is, so in your activities list, you can sort of describe what you did, for each activity. You can tell the admissions officers that I spent so many hours doing this, but you can't tell them why you did this. So you can't tell them that, when I sort of was teaching underprivileged children English and math, I realized how they lack access to basic education. And that is what inspired me to do this later on, or, start my own business venture where I can give them access to education for free. Now, essay is where you can tie these dots. You can sort of make sense of the entire application. You can tell them that there is one person doing all of these, and this is the reason that is sort of inspiring them or motivating them to do that. Now, this here is a global overview of the number of essays that a student needs to write for each country they apply to. As you can see, for the UK, you only have one personal statement. For the Netherlands and Singapore as well. For Canada, you have university-specific and program-specific essays. You also have scholarship essays, but it really depends on which university you're applying to, and the number of essays that you need to write vary. For India, you have personal essays. And then if you qualify, you also have on-spot essays, but the maximum number of essays you need to write is when you are applying to the US. So you have the Common App essay, which is, the Common App form is the sort of form that most colleges in the US, they use. And so they have a personal essay, which is 650 words. We'll come to that. You have college supplements. You have the University of California essays, which is a whole different application. It has 4 essays. And apart from that, you also have major scholarship essays. You're not going to apply to just one college, right? You're going to apply to at least 5, if not more. And bearing in mind that each of these colleges have 2 essays to write, then you will have to write 10 or more essays for your US application. So if you do not want to do the hard work, if you do not want to write so many essays, then don't apply to the US, or like maybe just think about, other countries where you can apply to, because if you're applying to the US, you have to go through the grueling process of, writing several drafts for each essay. Now we are going to start with the US college essays. The first comes, like I was mentioning, the Common App essay, which is a 650-word essay. And you have, I'm not going to sort of discuss the prompts with you now, but they're going to be like 7 prompts, and you can choose one out of those 7. But they basically want to know more about your personality, what makes you you, what are your interests, have you faced any challenge in your life? So basically, as you can understand, getting to know more about you and the way you think or approach a problem. There's also the why essays, which is a why college essay. Why do you want to come to a college to study, or why do you want to study this major that you're applying for? Not all colleges ask these questions, but most do. And the length varies as well. And then you have the supplement essays, and these can be interesting. These can be also very sort of straightforward. But the ultimate purpose of all these essays is to understand or uncover your personality, your interest, skills, and basically help the college understand whether you are the right fit for them. Yes, and like I was saying, based on the colleges that you apply to, the number of essays that you need to write also varies. So Stanford has 11, UPenn has 2, and Northeastern doesn't have any supplement essays, which means that the personal essay, the Common App essay, is the only essay that the Northeastern University AOs read. And this is sort of a case study of a UPenn South Asia AO. I'm not going to get into the details of the math here, but as you can see that an AO can spend 90 seconds on your essay, and you have only these 90 seconds to sort of tell the AO or explain to them who you are, what you are, and why you've done certain things that are mentioned on your application form, and why you have not done certain other things, right? So you will have to impress the AO. And when I say impress, I don't mean to say that you have to have sort of write a literary masterpiece. No, they know you're a 17 or an 18-year-old. They know what to expect, and they've been doing this for far too long to sort of say whether you are being honest. And that is what you need to be in the essay. You need to be honest to yourself. You need to be as genuine as possible, and you need to sort of showcase yourself in the truest manner. So we're going to start with the Common App essay, which is the personal essay, a 650-word essay. Now, like I was telling, as you can see, right, they call it the personal essay, which means that they really want to know who are you as a person, what is your personality like. So for this essay, you need to focus more on your characteristics. Are you a problem solver? Are you very rebellious? Or are you someone who is very kind and compassionate and really takes out time to sort of listen to your friends and their problems? Like I said, these examples, I'm a compassionate problem solver. I never give up. I used to be meek, but I've learned to speak up for what I believe in. As you can see, these are very simple things that you can tell about yourself, but this is what really makes you stand apart from 1,000 other applicants who share the same grades as you do, who have done similar activities as you have, and who have also sort of, maybe started business ventures which are similar to yours. So how do you tell the admissions officer, we may share the same grades, but this is what makes me different. What makes you different is who you are, your characteristic traits, your values that you're going to bring to college, your background, right? Your upbringing. If you are from a certain cultural background, if you can say that, this is where I come from, this is my culture, and this has impacted the way I perceive people and relationships. This is what impacts the way I perceive the world and its problems. Then that is what makes you different from someone else who's got the same same test scores and grades as you have. Now, what is the Common App essay not? It's not about your accomplishments. So do not make the mistake of bragging about what you've done, bragging about your awards and your sort of excellence in the Common App essay. You have the activity section of the form, you have the awards and honor section of the form, you even have the additional information section of the form to get into detail about everything that you've accomplished. The Common App essay is actually a place to sort of tell how you've done that. So if you really want to talk about an accomplishment, you use this essay to talk about how you achieved it. Did you face any challenge? How did you live up, or how did you sort of overcome that challenge? How did you problem solve? Did you fail when you were on your way to achieving that goal? And it's okay to talk about your failures, because that's what makes you vulnerable. That's what makes you human. So don't think that if I tell, if I write about sort of, for example, I've been the captain of my school football team for far too long, but then there was this very crucial tournament before which I sort of hurt my knee, or maybe there was a ligament tear and I couldn't play that important tournament. I just, watched my team play from the bench. And if you think that, writing about that is not going to be impressive, or it's not going to leave the impact that you wish or you want to, you're very wrong. You can actually use that opportunity. You can actually use that story to tell the admissions officer, that I am a leader and I can lead from, beyond the field as well. I am always there for my team. And whether I'm on the field or off, this is how I behave, or this is how I, sort of contribute when I'm part of a team. And you can actually use that essay to sort of tell the admissions officer who you are and what makes you different from another football team captain. So do not only focus on what makes you great, right? At the end of the day, you're human. You are supposed to make mistakes, and those mistakes are from what you learn, you grow, right? And that is what the Common App essay is about, to show growth. How have you changed? How have you learned from your surroundings? How have you sort of contributed to, your friendships or your community in some way? And those are the stories that you need to sort of brainstorm and pick. Now, when you do that, first thing and the most important thing that you need to bear in mind is the theme of the essay, right? What is that one thing that ties the entire essay together? That one thing that ties the entire essay together is what impression the admissions officer is going to have about you, right? And when you do that, I mean, again, for example, do you want the admissions officer to think that you are kind or compassionate, or you are a great leader, or you can sort of, if needed, step back and allow someone else to sort of shine, and you don't sort of hog the limelight always? Decide on what you want the admissions officer to know, right? And then go back and find a story that will help you make your point. What happens? See, for example, this is something that you can maybe sort of explain my point to you. Last year, I attended camp and I was feeling very out of place. And it wasn't like a very, comfortable experience until this one person came up to me and really sort of spent time sitting with me, chatting with me, and we discussed our interests, our shared interests and stuff. And I slowly felt that I could belong, and that was the best camp experience ever. And I made new friends. I learned several other things. And so next year, when I went back to camp, I ensured that I was the one person who always went to, spoke to a newcomer and initiated them into the entire experience. Now, why does it matter? What do you want the admissions officer to learn from this particular experience that you're sharing? The fact that you can step out of your comfort zone to learn something new. You are open to new experiences, and you're also kind and compassionate, and you can use your lessons to sort of make a difference in someone else's life. So whenever you are thinking about the story that you want to sort of share in your Common App essay, ask these two very important questions. What happened? What is the story that you want to share? And why is it important for you to tell that story to the admissions officer? What do you want them to learn about you? Examples, what happened? I started the first ever LGBTQ plus society in my school. I did this because I was bullied in my previous school. So I decided to change schools and begin something new. Why does it matter? I'm a problem solver and I care about the well-being of other people. While canvassing for SNAP, I was concerned that I would unfairly judge someone or offend them by giving them information about food stamps. This caused me to freeze up, but when I stopped worrying, I was able to hand out information. Why does it matter? When I encounter moments that challenge and confuse me, I'm able to understand why I am uncomfortable, come up with and execute a solution and learn from it. Right now, as you can see, these two examples that have been mentioned, they are experiences that most high school students have, right? And this is also something that I want to sort of reiterate. It's okay to write about simple things in your life. You do not have to come up with a story that is that is different, that is unique. Like, the perspective has to be different. Say, for example, going back to my previous example where I spoke about this football team captain and him missing out on a particular, maybe very important tournament because of a ligament tear. Now, there can be several players who've gone through that similar experience of maybe missing out on a very important match or a tournament because of some problem. But what they did with that particular situation is what makes each person different. Right now, someone might just spend time at home cribbing and complaining about how they missed an opportunity and what they could have, if they played, they could have won trophies and stuff. And then someone else could have used that opportunity to just be there for the team and bring them sort of bottles of water and encourage them and cheer for them from, the sidelines. So that is what makes your story different. Bear in mind, and I'm going to sort of repeat this again, maybe later on, your story doesn't have to be very unique. All of you are 16 to 18-year-olds. You're having like similar experiences, and the college admissions officers, they know that. They're not expecting to hear about how you sort of climbed Mount Everest. Okay, so don't push yourself hard to find that story that is brand new and unique. Think about your common life experiences, but what matters is what you did differently. And the steps to follow to get to that final essay: one, brainstorm ideas. And this is something that I also tell my students, and I have had students who've come to me, and told me, I know what I'm going to write for my common app essay, and this is it, which is great. I really like students who know what they want to, but I also tell them that, be open to more ideas, brainstorm ideas, speak with your family and friends who know you, right? Ask them, because you might think that, there's this one characteristic that defines you, and then the one story that can help you sort of showcase that characteristic, but maybe your mother knows you better and can tell you and help you with a new perspective to you, right? So be open to ideas, be open to writing your first draft on 2 or 3 ideas. What happens is that, and it's very common that this happens, when you discuss or think about an idea, sometimes they sound really great and you have a vision for your essay, right? But then when you start writing, you realize that you don't have enough content or matter. And then maybe something else that you didn't really pay much attention to, some other idea really had enough sort of experience or examples for you to add. Yeah, so like I said, be open to more ideas, write a draft on each, right? And maybe down the line, you might feel that that idea that you weren't really giving much importance to can actually be developed into a great essay. Or maybe you can combine all of those 2 or 3 ideas to write an essay that truly depicts you in the way you are. Focus on theme, right? Do not start your essay by trying to showcase that you are very kind and compassionate, and then finish that essay by telling how you are so confident that you can like stand up and speak up for anyone else around you. Okay, so please focus on the theme and find examples from your life that can sort of be tied together under that one theme. Show, don't tell. And this is a mantra that I want all of you to follow for whatever essay that you're writing in future. Before I explain this, I really want to tell you that the kind of writing that you are accustomed to in school, whether it's an essay or whether it's sort of a paper that you're writing, it's very different from the kind of writing that you will have to do for your college application essay. The kind of writing that you have to do for your college application essays is what we call the reflective writing. So you can't just be telling that I woke up and I did this and this and this, and this is what you should understand about me. You need to reflect. So maybe you spend so many hours playing tennis, and you've been doing that every day with your father, for example, or your mother, every weekend you and your mother go and play tennis, and that's something that you don't want to miss. Okay, so no matter what weather conditions are like, you always ensure that you go and play tennis with your mom. But the reflective writing is about also writing why it's important to you. Okay, what you learn from that particular hour spent with your mom, how do you bond with her, how have you grown because of that interaction, because of that learning experience that you've had with her. That's the kind of writing that you need to do for your essay. Now, show don't tell means that, don't just state things for the admissions officer. Say, for example, you don't know me at all. Now, if I tell you that I am very brave, or I am a team player, you are not likely to believe me, or maybe you'll be like, okay, great, and then move on. But if I back that up with an example, or maybe an anecdote from my life where I can showcase and I can show you that I'm actually a great team player, you are more likely to believe me, because that makes my statement credible. Similarly, don't just write that you are very disciplined and have balanced your academics and extracurriculars amazingly. Show the admissions officer how you've done that. Use anecdotes from your life, because these anecdotes serve as proof to all that you claim to be. Step 4, highlight your characteristics and values, because that is what the admissions officers want to know about you. So uncover layers, find out who you are, sit in, maybe speak with yourself, try to sort of acknowledge certain things about you, try to sort of see how you've grown over the past 4 years, and eventually get feedback. So don't write an essay, write one draft and say, okay, great, that's fantastic writing, let's move on to the next one. No, it doesn't happen like that. Writing is in the rewriting. I mean, that's something that even published writers do. Okay, so get feedback from your family, get feedback from people who really know you, who can tell you, okay, but I think you've not done yourself justice. Maybe you should also talk about this, or maybe you can restructure your essay in so many ways. So get all the feedback that you can. Don't feel bad about it if people come and tell you that this is not a great essay. Be open to their ideas, see what you can incorporate, and move ahead with it, and go write a different draft. But saying that, I would also like to tell you, don't send your essay or to maybe, say, for example, a distant uncle and an aunt who lives in the US, who's ready to give you feedback and who can tell you, but your language is so simple, it's not fit for the college here. Don't do that, because at the end of the day, like I said, the college admissions officers, they are not expecting you to be Hemingway. They're expecting you to be another teenager from India writing their college application essay. What they're expecting you to be is be very honest, not to sort of pretend, to sort of be truthful and do justice to who you are, and help them understand how you can be a good fit for their college. So the next set of essays are the why essays, right? And now why essays, we have two different sort of why essays. One is the why college essay, which is basically why do you want to come to a college to study, and the other is the why major essay, which is why do you want to study this major that you're applying for. Going back to the first one, the why college essay is basically what the colleges want to know from you is they know the kind of resources that they are offering to you. They know what they have. They want to know how you're going to come to their college and how you're going to utilize all those resources that they have to offer. So the first and most important part that you need to do before writing this essay is do your research. Research. And I can't sort of stress the importance of it, because that's what makes, again, this is an essay where you demonstrate your interest in a particular college, where you can sort of tell the college, I am so interested in you. I've spent time learning more about you, and I know exactly what I'm going to do once I'm there. So please admit me, right? And not someone else. And you can't do that until unless you've also spent enough time learning about that college, learning what they have to offer. And when you are writing that essay, please also go beyond what you can find on the college website, right? While the college website is a great place for you to start with, click on further links, all right? Don't just stop at the first page of the, of physics department and just pick names from there and mention that in the essay. No, don't do that. Click on the links, find out what curriculum they have, what are the classes that you can take as a, freshman in college, right? Which is that one class that really ties to your goal. And you need to have a goal. Your intentions of attending a college can't just be getting a job at the end of the day. But your job also has to be something that's clear to you. Okay, you want to do a job, but what is that job about? Like, what kind of role do you want to, you see yourself in? And to do all of that, you need to sort of dig deeper into the college website. Also, please follow the colleges on their social media pages, because that's where you're going to get the recent updates. That's where you're also going to get a glimpse of the campus life, and see whether that's something that you sort of, want for yourself. And also sign up for newsletters, alumni groups, and forums for added support. And when you are writing a why college essay, and this is something that I've had students do, and it's not your fault because you don't know, but when you're writing the essay, don't tell the college that, I want to come to your college and study there because you have world-class faculty and you have state-of-the-art infrastructure. The college knows what they have. What they really want to do or want to know is, okay, so I'm giving you world-class faculty. We have great, undergraduate research opportunities here. How are you going to make the most of these? So when you are writing the essay, make sure you tie all of that to your interests. Say, for example, I want to come to your college and work with Professor X because I want to learn from his expertise in so and so field, and improve the app that I built, when I was in high school. Or so you can see that there's a complete circle. I want to go to your college, study, take this particular professor's class or work with him on this particular project, so that I learn something from his expertise and apply it back to what I have started back in high school. Or I want to come to your college and contribute to this ongoing research, which is going to help me build on this research that I have been doing in school, and build on my knowledge and help me really understand a particular concept or a topic. So have your purpose ready. And why do you want to study a major? And again, this is my favorite example, and that's why I'm smiling so much. So I've had students, and again, it's not your fault, you're just a high school student, who will say that I want to study business because I come from a business family. There's no concept of a business family in the US. It's more about your family owning a company. And even then, that cannot be reason enough for you to want to study business. You need to have more purpose. Okay, so I want to study business because I want to contribute in so many manners to the company that my family owns. Or I have, this vision of my own, sort of family owned business. I want it to grow in so many ways, but I do not have access to that knowledge, or I do not know how to do it. And this is why I want to come to your college to, study those particular topics. So know why you want to study a subject. Okay, don't just say that, I am interested in outer space and that's why I want to study physics. Outer space is really enchanting. It's for anyone. But what makes you more interested in that particular, in outer space? What kind of work have you done in the past, which can show that you are truly interested in that subject? And how do you want to build on that kind of work that you've done? The next set of essays are the supplement essays, and these can be varied. This can also be, the questions can be sort of like, what's your favorite book and why? But over here in my presentation, I'm going to focus on the ones that are more very common. One is the extracurricular activity essay. And as you can see, both the Babson and the Harvard University prompts here, they really want to know about an extracurricular activity that you've engaged with. So when you are brainstorming for these prompts, think about the activity that has really contributed to you in your growth. If you've started playing piano last summer, maybe that's not the activity you would like to talk about in this essay, because you can't really show the admissions officer that you've that particular activity has really impacted you or helped you grow in certain ways. But say, for example, you've been practicing or learning Kathak for the past 13 years, and practicing it every day or after school hours has also taught you how to sort of balance academics with your extracurriculars, made you more disciplined, and has sort of prepared you for the academic rigor, then that is an activity that you definitely need to talk about here. So when you are deciding on an extracurricular activity, please think of something that you've been doing for a considerable amount of time that can show real interest, that can show growth, a learning curve. And if you want to talk about a work experiences are usually paid. So if you have done an internship, it was a paid internship, or if you really worked somewhere and you were paid for it, then maybe you could choose that for your essay. And the other essay, and this is my favorite prompt, is the community essay. Now, students usually struggle with deciding on which community to talk about, because this community word has puzzled students for so many years. The community, which is a broad definition of community, is a group of people with shared interests. Now, this can be your, a book club, or this can be your friends circle in your, building complex or in your neighborhood, right? Now, what you have to do is you have to find a shared interest. Don't just say that, I live in Pune and that is the community that I identify with, because Pune is a big city. It has people from different backgrounds and different, sort of cultural backgrounds as well. So what is that one thing that ties all of you together, right? And when you are thinking about a community, the questions really want to know, what is your role in that community? How have you contributed to them? Because at the end of the day, the admissions officer, what they want to understand from this particular prompt is, when you are going to go there and be a part of their college community, how are you going to enrich that? Okay, what values are you going to bring with you? This is an example that I really love to share. I had a student a couple of cycles ago, and she spoke about a noodle lovers community. Okay, she had this, like, it was a very sort of random community that grew out of like strangers who loved noodles. And what they did was they went around their city trying noodles at every joint, and she was the curator. So she used to sort of make a list of the next place that they would sort of try a noodles at, or a new sort of menu that a particular, already existing restaurant had. And so as you can see, she had a role that she played there. She was the curator. And what she also did with this essay was that she also showed how the community helped her. So the community helped her organize, the community helped her do research for their, every event that they had. And that sort of equipped her with skills that she could apply later in college, right? So when you are thinking about a community, think about your role in it as well. So until unless you have done something or you have contributed to the community in some way or the other, maybe that's not the right thing to write in your essay. You could also talk about your, and I'm sharing this example because I think it's easier for Indian students to come up with such communities. Say, for example, your ethnic community. Maybe you are a Jain, or you are a Marwari, or whoever you are, or you are a Bengali. What makes you different from everyone else, or what makes you sort of similar to the group of people that you you consider community? And what are the things that you do? What is the food that you have that makes you different? And is there a particular tradition that you follow? And would you like to go to college and carry on with the tradition, or would you like to go to college and prepare a particular Marwari delicacy for all your friends and sort of share your community with them? So these are the things that you need to sort of keep in mind when you're brainstorming for this essay. Now we're going to move on to the UK. So like I said, the UK has one personal statement that goes out to the 5 colleges you're applying to. And unlike you in the US, you apply to the course here. You're not applying to the college here. So when you are working on your personal statement, you can in no way mention that, I want to come to your university because I like so many things about it. Because that one statement goes to each university that you apply to. Good part about the personal statement is that it's very straightforward. Unlike for US essays, where you need to really reflect and think about why you did this or what you learned from it, the UK personal statement really doesn't ask those questions to you. It's like, why are you interested in this course? How did you develop curiosity in this particular subject? What have you done within the classroom? What have you done outside the classroom to prepare for the course? What sort of work experience you have or skills you have that you can come to college with and sort of, apply when you're studying this particular subject? As you can see in this particular box here, 70% why this course and 30% why, what skills you have. And it's 4,000 characters. So work-wise, it's easy work than a US essay. You just have to write like 5 paragraphs on, all of these points that I've mentioned here, and then it's done. And this is something that I thought I should mention. These are like top overuse sentences on UCAS. And try your best to avoid these sentences because they are very generic. They don't tell the admissions officers anything about you. Like I said, ever since I was a kid, I come from a family of businessmen. I'm applying for this course because academically, I've always been a very determined person, reflecting on my education. So all of these statements, these are, like I said, it's not good writing, okay? So try and make it more personal. Start with maybe an anecdote. Tell that, I've always, instead of saying that, I've always dismantled electronic gadgets at home just to understand how they work. And that immediately shows that you are interested in engineering And you can say, this is what sort of sparked a curiosity in so many things, which I've, pursued and built on in classroom. And this is why I want to come to this is why I want to study engineering in future. Moving on to Canada. Canada has, I can't tell you, you have to write so many essays when you're applying to Canada, because it really depends on the colleges that you're applying to. Like it's mentioned here, essays range from 1 to 6, depending on the major selected. The University of Toronto has a very, typical a Y college and a Y program essay, whereas the UBC prompts are more my favorite, because again, they give the admissions officers an insight into who you are and what makes you different from everyone else. So tell us about who you are. How would your family, friends, and or members of your community describe you? If possible, please include something about yourself that you're most proud of and why. So if you are writing a UBC essay for this particular question, I would really ask you to have a conversation with your family and friends, see what they think of you, and then find a particular anecdote that you can, when you're talking about what you're proud of, then find something that really helps you connect every part of this particular prompt. Say, for example, maybe you're proud of this blog that you have and that you've been very consistent with, and you've been posting on the blog every week. And then you can say that, my family and friends, they would describe me as someone who's really determined, who's persistent, and who's also consistent. And then you can say, I'm really proud of my blog because I have successfully posted so many articles over the past 2 months, and I've done all the research that I had, set out to do, and I've not missed out on any part of this goal that I set. Now, as you can see, the adjectives that your family used to describe you, persistent, consistent, determined, they are all sort of explained through this one, answer where you talk about what you're the most proud of and why. So find, when you are, discussing with your family and friends, and when you're brainstorming on your own, find a particular story or a particular anecdote that really helps you connect all parts of the essay and present you as one, a genuine person. And coming to India, liberal arts universities. So as you can see, Ashoka has 3 essays. The prompts changed last year. Kriya has 1 essay, which in the prompts the particular prompt has not changed so far. Indian liberal arts colleges, the essays that they ask of you they're also very reflective. So it's not as direct as the UK personal statement. They're more like the US essays, where they really want to find out why you did something, or what sort of, what motivated you to act in a certain manner, what really sort of takes up all the time that you have. And this third prompt here is something that I really like, and I really enjoy discussing this with the student, because it also helps me understand my students better. The language of a person influences their understanding of the world. Pick your favorite word from any language and tell us why this word is special to you and how it has impacted you. So when you are, sort of brainstorming for this, when you're thinking of a word, and they've given you the liberty to choose from any language. So it can be your own mother tongue, it can be English, it can be a foreign language. But what you have to bear in mind is you have to show how this particular language has contributed to you and your understanding of people and problems and relationships in the world around you, right? So, and you can only sort of portray every part of you through anecdotes and through examples and through certain personal experiences. So don't just say that, my favorite word is hello because it sounds very cool. Okay, because it's not going to give the admissions officer any idea of who you are and why you're writing this essay. But if you could say that, my favorite word is, choose a particular word from your own mother tongue and say how you grew up listening to your grandmother tell you stories, and maybe this word was her favorite, like she always used this, and then you also found your mother repeating this word to you often, and that had like an sort of kept you rooted to your own culture. And no matter where you are in studying in future or whatever you're doing, this particular word is always going to help or connect you to where you've grown up and to the culture that you've been brought up in. So maybe, and this has also sort of helped you understand that this world is very diverse, and you appreciate this diversity. You know that, every other person that you meet, they have a different background. They come to you with, sort of different interests, different behaviors, and you are fine with that. And you love to learn from their experiences, because that learning from them also gives you a glimpse into who they were as a child, or maybe what their grandparents taught them. Uncover the layers, think really, like spend some time understanding the prompts, and don't just rush to sort of write your essay. And and like I said, also spend time going through several drafts. And Indian liberal arts colleges, they also have on-spot essays. So apart from the ones that you submit when you're write when you're submitting the application, if you qualify, you will be also asked to write on-spot essays. Now, these are do's. The first point is my favorite. Have a clear narrative, stay clear of complex sentences. I know at your age, and it's very common, you might think that, writing long sentences and using sort of big jargons are going to impress the reader. It's not. Like I said, and like by now, that the admissions officer only has 90 seconds to spend on your essays. If you're writing like long sentences, they will just be bored and be like, okay, I'm done with this student. Let me move on to the next. Right? But if you write short sentences, if you make it easier for them to understand with simple narrative, then chances are higher that they're going to stay glued to your essay and they're going to want to read it more, right? Be direct, get straight to the point, practice writing. And yes, this is something that, even my father used to tell me when I was a kid, and I'm going to tell you now, keep a journal, right? And the reason I'm asking to keep a journal is when you are finally starting with the college application essay writing, it's not possible for you to suddenly wake up one morning and decide, okay, so these are things that happened to me and I remember them so well that I can write them in my college application essay. But if you maintain a journal, if you practice writing, maybe you can look back at the journal and pick out certain incidents that you think are important. Or, this practice of writing can also help you practice this reflective writing. Okay, so I did this today. I went out and I rehearsed with my friends here for a certain Diwali function that we are going to do. And I did not agree with, what, say, for example, Ria had to say. I did not sort of, move ahead with the practice. I came back home. But later I realized that, not listening to her or not coming to a consensus or, discussing a problem really affected the performance. So the next day you can like go back to Ria and say, you know what, let's work it out. Let's see how we can come up with a solution that really works for our performance and help us do better. Writing a journal also helps you practice this reflective writing that you will not get the opportunity to do otherwise in school. And then suddenly when you have to write your college application essay, it's going to be very difficult for you to do. Speak in active voice. Always, look at the examples here. Strong leadership is paramount to the success of any collection of individuals. I believe I have those qualities evident through my internship work. But a revision would be, I interned at a think tank over the summer and was awarded recognition for successfully leading a team of 5 interns into project completion ahead of schedule. Now, as you can see, is the revision here is more simple, easier to understand, and it doesn't make you or me like go back to reading it again to sort of try to understand what you're saying. It's there. It's like, I know what you've done last summer and I know what you learned from it. And review your work to see where a phrase can be substituted by a simple word. So don't spend too many words when you can use just one, because each essay that you have to write has a word limit. So if you can sort of shorten your sentences, use one word for like 5 or 7, then you can also increase more space for you to tell more about yourself. Don'ts. Yes, don't drive yourself up the wall trying to find the best opening statement. Don't. Instead, focus on being genuine and showcasing who you are in the truest and honest way. Do not write or include quotes in your essay. I mean, you might really, really want to share Steve Jobs' quote when you're writing why you want to study computer science. But really, if the admissions officer want to know what Steve Jobs said, they can go and Google it. Why do they want to read your essay, right? They want to read your essay because they want to know what you think, what inspires you, what motivates you to study computer science. So avoid quotes, avoid cliches, right? And don't plagiarize and copy. Yes, please. Admissions officers have been doing this job for a very long time. They can easily say whether you've copied. They can easily say if an uncle has written your essay, or maybe your mother has spent time working on it. So don't do that. Definitely take feedback, but do your own work, write your own essays. Don't be general in your observations, direct them inwards. For example, medicine is a noble cause, and I've been inspired by my brother's journey through the vocation. This tells the admissions officer nothing about you. We only get to know that your brother is also a doctor and he's who inspired you. But when you revise that and write, when I saw how medics treated these survivors of the blast, an emotional trigger rung through me. The compassion and clarity of purpose urged me to take action as I stood up to volunteer myself. This gives a clearer picture of what sort of, inspired you or your interest in a particular subject and what you wish to do, or what sort of value you're going to bring to this, line of medicine. So think about like I said, don't be general in your observations. Think about what you're doing, why you're doing, what inspired you to behave in a certain manner, and write all of that in the essay. Don't state, imply. I've been passionate about engineering since I was a child. This is very generic. Every other person who's interested in engineering can say this, and it doesn't really help you sort of differentiate yourself from all the other engineering applicants. But if you say that, since dismantling my first toys at an early age, I have been compelled to discover how objects work, this can sort of show the admissions officer how you think, why you do certain things, and sort of what was the time or sort of inspired you to apply for this particular subject. And with that, I come to the end of my presentation, and I'm open to taking questions. I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
So I think we have a lot of questions in the chat. So the first one is, which colleges accept Common App essays?
Yeah, so Aradhya, there are several that do. In fact, Common Application Form, there are at least, I think there are more than 900 colleges that use the Common Application Form. So, and I can't list those colleges for you, but just to give you an idea, Harvard, Stanford, Yale, Brown, they all use the Common Application Form. So the Common Application essay goes to all of them. But if you're, say, for example, applying to MIT has a different application of their own. If you are applying to the UCs, they have a different application of their own, so they don't get the Common Application essay.
In the Common App essay, could you talk about a time that you were a negative person? Will that degrade us in front of the university?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I don't understand what you mean when you say a negative person. I mean, I'm hoping it's not very evil, but I think it's okay to tell the admissions officers that, you had a different sort of belief, and which was not very common belief. And but then you also need to sort of show some growth. Okay, you can't just say that, this is how I perceive the world, and no matter what I did, this was my outlook forever. You also need to show that, you may be engaged in a particular or discussion with your family or friends where you had an opportunity to discuss this, perspective that you have. Or maybe, let me give you an example. Wait. Maybe you live in a building with a security guard, and you've never, again, this example is based on the fact that I don't know what you mean by when you say negative person. This is just my understanding of it. So maybe you have a security guard in your building, or you have a help in your house whom you've never acknowledged, right? You don't really care about what they do and how they help you on a regular basis. But then, as part of your CAS program, you spent hours teaching kids, underprivileged children, certain subjects, and you've realized how difficult it is for them and their families to provide them basic education that you have been taking for granted all these years. And that maybe has changed the way you perceive these people around you, maybe your help or your security guard, and you've always ensured after that to sort of just like to sort of acknowledge them, say hi, and help them out in whatever ways possible. Now, if you talk about this, it's great because it shows that you are capable of learning, you are capable of growth, you're capable of accepting the fact that what your belief could be changed, and you're open to newer ideas, and that is something that would definitely work in your favor in college later on.
So then the next one is, can you provide some examples on how to introduce ourselves?
I really don't know, because like I said, what you have to do is you have to spend time with your family and people who really know you to sort of find out who you are. I mean, what is that one characteristic that really defines you? Is it about how very sort of specific you are about how your room needs to be arranged? Or is it are you someone who's very kind and can like always, you go out of your way to just help someone in need? Or are you someone who's really curious, and no matter whether you're, making your, say, for example, paneer tikka, or you're, engaging with a research project, you always make it a point to sort of, dig deeper and learn more about how you can make a particular dish, differently if you use a different vessel, for example, or how you can sort of, come to a solution if you use a different path. So it really depends on who you are, okay? And that is going to be the crux of your story. And that is going to be your introduction at the end of the day. And I can't really help you right now because I don't know you. Maybe if we get to know each other, I mean, I get to know you well, I can tell you, okay, you know what? I think this is the correct way of you introducing yourself. This is a characteristic that I would really like you to sort of, talk about in your essay, because this can portray you in the most genuine light possible. But because I don't know you, I can't really sort of very effectively answer this question for you now.
The UCAS TS has a limited amount of space under each question for the answers. So do you recommend using anecdotes or going straight to the point?
So for the UCAS, it's going straight to the point. You don't really have the space, like you said, it's 4,000 characters or 47 lines. So you don't really have the space to sort of share anecdotes. And also because the process of the essay is very different from a US essay, where the US really want to know more about how you think, more about what inspires you, and what kind of problems have you solved, and what kind of problems really you want to solve in future. But the UCAS is more about what have you done over the past 4 years of your high school to prepare for this one course. So if you've done internships and you've sort of, you just have to say, during my internship, I worked on so many things. This is what I learned. That's going to help me when I'm studying this subject in college later on. So it's very, very straightforward. You don't have the time to and you don't have the liberty to rather sort of reflect and add examples to a UCAS personal statement. And they don't want it either.
Can the essay be anything that's personal to you, like a short story you wrote in your language and literature class that you still think about today?
So if it's a short story that you've already written in class, of course, you cannot use it for your Common App essay, because at the end of the day, you will have to answer the prompts that, the Common App ask. And the questions are going to be very different from the one that you answered when you were writing that short story. But maybe it can be part of your essay where you can say, this particular experience that happened or sort of inspired this short story. And when I was writing it, it sort of gave me more, or I gained deeper insight into who I am and what really motivates me to work. So your short story can be a part of your essay if you can use it to show a certain thought process or certain reflection, but it can't be your Common App essay in any way, because the Common App prompts are going to be very different from the one that you had when you were writing the short story in class. And you can also go to the Red Pen website and just get a appointment with us. So you can do either way, because my expertise lies entirely in essays, but I have my team members who can help you with your scholarships and other things related to scholarships. So yeah, we provide all services, so that's not going to be an issue.
Could you give us an idea about essays that are accepted in Laksha University?
So I know for sure that Flame has essays. I know Kriya has essay. I know Ashoka has essay. I'm not sure about Laksha's essays, but it's also very similar to the other essays. Like if they have essays, then it's also like very similar to Ashoka and Kriya's essays. It's very it's reflective. It's directed to the program that you're applying for, and they really want to know why do you want to come to the college to study that particular program or the subject. So yeah, it's a combination of all of that.
Okay, so then do I have to include in my essay why I'm choosing that particular country? Is it mandatory that the essay should be 1 page? Is there a standard font and font size?
So if you're talking about the US, then the US colleges, the questions that they ask, each of those questions have different word limits. So say, for example, if you're asked to Dartmouth, if you're applying to Dartmouth, or if you're applying to Yale, and if they want, and when they ask you why you want to come to our college to study, that particular essay is of 100 words. So you have to fit in all the reasons why you're applying to the college within 100 words. But then if it's a college like Harvey, then you have 650 words to write why you want to go to Harvey to study. So there's no one sort of standard, size or word limit for an essay. It really sort of changes based on which college you're applying to, apart from the Common App essay, which is a 650 word essay, and that remains constant. There is no particular font or size or anything, because at the end of the day, you're going to copy your essays onto the form. And the moment you do that, it's not like you cannot upload a document. You will have to copy and paste the essay onto the Common App form. And when you do that, it's automatically going to be the form font and size. So that's not something that you need to worry about. And when you are writing your essay, and to answer the first question, whether you have to include why you're choosing a particular country. For the US, you don't, because you are choosing a particular college, and they will ask you, why do you want to come to our college to study? So it's more about the college. For the UK, you can include why you want to go to the UK in the personal statement. But again, don't just say that I want to go to the UK because you have great resources or because I have my relatives staying there. the reason has to be more specific. So for example, if you wish to study journalism, then you could say that, I want to come to the UK to study because I want to work with BBC, and it's been my dream always, because that's very specific to the UK, right? Or if you want to study medicine, you can say that, I want to study medicine in the UK because I want to work with the NHS and learn from them and learn several things from them, because that is again very specific to the UK, and that is not something you will get anywhere else. So if you want to at all include, why you wish to go to a country to study, then the reason again has to be very specific. It cannot be generic that, I've been to the UK for holiday and I really like the scenic beauty there. That can't be the reason.
Is it possible to get sample essays for US colleges?
The Red Pen, we don't share sample essays because of various confidentiality issues, but, you can always get I'm sure you can get sample essays online if you do a Google search, but I don't think it's a wise decision, because and I really don't like sharing sample essays with students, because I feel, at your age, you're at such an impressionable age that when you read an essay, you would want to sort of imitate that style of writing or that kind of approach in your essay. And that really doesn't do sort of true justice to you and who you are, which is ultimately the point of all the college application essay. So it's better to, take help from people who can actually guide you, and then go ahead and write your own essay.
Can we add what we learned from Clever Harvey sessions in the application?
Definitely you can. That was the whole point of this, this entire session, is that for me to sort of help you approach your essays properly, to know what kind of, the brainstorming you can do, to know what kind of points you can include, what kind of anecdotes you can include in the essay. So I hope that this session really sort of helped you do that. Do that in the future when you are working on your own application essays. But for any help that you need, and if you want a sort of guidance from all the experts that work at the Red Pen, please reach out to us, get your own take your own appointments, discuss what you want from your college experience, and we'll be more than happy to help you with it. And thank you, Rujita and Clever Harvey, for having me here. It was a pleasure meeting all of you and discussing a very, very favorite topic that I have.
Yeah, thank you so much, Trina, for taking time out of your schedule to be here. We really appreciate it. As Trina said, please go to the Red Pen website and you can reach out to them and get a lot of support from them. So I think that brings us to the end of this session. Stay tuned to our social platforms. We have Career Accelerator talks almost every Sunday. So thank you everyone for being here. Thank you, Trina, for giving us this great insightful talk.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Have a great Sunday.